President, guests, delegates, good morning. And first, the good news for you, but for all of us. Since March 2015, you are a full member of the European Trade Union Confederation. Affiliation has also been extended to Nezavisnost, to CTUM, to UFTUM from Montenegro, and to SSM from Macedonia. You are more than welcome, and it is with satisfaction that the major unions from the region are now on board as full members. But the bad news is that you have to pay membership dues. But even that is not totally bad. We have a scaled system of membership dues that takes the economic situation into consideration. And, dear colleagues, let me start from there. The crisis covers in different degrees all Europe, especially those countries that are still in a process of transition from a different political and economic system to market economy. And this is the case of Serbia and the neighboring countries. And there are mainly two options: neoliberal fundamentalism or social market economy, hegemony of economic interest or the inclusion of a valid social dimension in the transition process. One key element here is the recognition of the role of social partners in the society. Without that, a balanced transition is impossible. Social dialogue is essential, and in that respect, there is a large space for improvement in Serbia. It is obvious that your government considers the social dialogue as to be more symbolic than real. There is no credible investment in social dialogue. There is a legal system that facilitates the fragmentation of the trade union movement. And indeed, it is very easy to create trade unions that, again, are more symbolic than real. And there is a strategy to dilute the already fragile social dialogue system through the inclusion of non-governmental organizations. Social dialogue is the domain of social partners, and social partners are not just simply non-governmental organizations. The European Economic and Social Committee is not the place for social dialogue, and to copy-paste it for domestic use here in Serbia as a social dialogue instrument is not acceptable and not in line with the requirements of the European Union integration process. Social dialogue should be first and above all an instrument for consultations, negotiations, and bargaining between employers, associations, and trade unions. The employers here in Serbia are weakly organized and cover only a very small segment of enterprises. It is in the vital interest of trade unions to have a counterpart able to sign a collective agreement, especially at the branch level, where employers' associations are largely absent. We are in contact with Business Europe on that issue, and the first result was a social partners conference here in Belgrade with unions and employers from Serbia, Montenegro, and Macedonia. This was just the start. We must work on the follow-up. Dear colleagues, the independence of trade unions is essential. Independence from government, political parties, and of course, employers. In some cases, governments try to sponsor unions in order to transfer them into fellow travelers. They do it undercover, or they intervene openly, as it happened 2 weeks ago in Montenegro. Here, we all have to resist and to preserve trade union independence. Trade unions are not the transmission belt of government policies. Independent trade unions need democracy as a fish needs water to swim. I am concerned about governmental strategies in the region, including Serbia, to undermine the freedom of media, to control media, and to use them as tools for anti-trade union campaigns, or to defame media as to agents of the European Union when they reported about irregularities in a privatization process, as it happened to Balkan, Inside Information Service. There is a tendency of authoritarian governance in some parts of Europe, undermining democracy. We must withstand. And there is certainly a lot to report about those irregularities. But, dear colleagues, we cannot resume our policy in complaining about others. We need to strengthen our trade union movement to overcome division and internal conflicts. Trade union pluralism is a reality in nearly all European countries. But there is a big difference between pluralism and fragmentation. This difference is evident in your country. There is a common challenge in Europe. We have to stand together against a policy that is focusing on austerity, giving advantage to banks and big money at the expense of ordinary people. Greece is an example, as Spain and Portugal are. The Spanish people showed a yellow-red card to these politics at the last regional and local elections on Sunday. And this is encouraging. We want another policy for Europe, for employment through investment in infrastructures, education, research, for social justice and equality. This will boost the economy, and we must not save the banks and the dubious financial industry. We must save ordinary people. We must fight for a decent work, social justice, and preserve democracy. It is high time for a change. Dear colleagues, corruption is a general problem everywhere, but it is a disease in this region. It is weakening the state. It is, again, common interest. Trade unions must be part of the solution. Trade unions must fight corruption at home, in the region, and overall in Europe. And let's do it together. And to end with interest and sympathy we take note of the increasing regional cooperation amongst our members. This is encouraging. ETUC could manage to start a regional project entitled On the Way to the EU, supported by the EU Commission. The project office is hosted by your organization. Let's do our best to make it a success. You had our support in the past. You will have it in the future. I wish you all the best.